Well, thank you all for joining us today for Critical Conversation, our first Critical Conversation of the summer. There's a lot of you here, which is fantastic. So welcome. Per usual, the Critical Conversation is being recorded, and a copy of today's session will be made available on the President's intranet page. While the presentations are happening, I will have chat turned off. So if you think of something, please jot it down. And once we open chat for discussion, you'll be able to post your message in chat or raise your hand using your little emoticon, and we will call on you in the order that they are received. And I am now going to turn it over to Phil.
Thanks, Beth. Thank you, everyone. My apologies for my nasal tone that is usually aggravating enough is even worse. I'm a little under the weather, so apologize for the sound today, but great to see all of you and thank you for taking the time. We made the decision last year to continue our critical conversations over the course of the summer, although we may not have any faculty members with us because they are off contract. It's important for us to stay in touch. And it's an especially important time of year because we have a number of projects and activities that are going on over the course of this summer. As you well know, it's been sort of a roller coaster ride with everything that's going on. So we wanted to give you some updates and really give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. I want to recognize and thank Trustee Howard for being with us this afternoon for this critical conversation and for all her support. So let's just get started. The most important piece that occupies a great deal of all of our time, but especially mine, is everything that's happening at the federal level. I'm sure you are reading about it in the paper, so I want to talk a little bit about what's going on with a couple of items because as you well know that we've had Adam Thrasher, the Associate General Counsel, really do a terrific job of updating you about the executive orders that are coming from the White House that are not laws, but certainly have created tremendous havoc in a number of higher education institutions. And I want to focus on the areas that are really hitting us most directly in community colleges and more specifically here at Middlesex. So number one is the fact that many of you may or may not realize that the college had its first significant National Science Foundation, NSF grant. It was a grant that was focused on equity in robotics and robotics training for our faculty and staff to be able to expand the work that we're going to be doing both in credit and non-credit. And that within the last few weeks, we had been identified that the NSF grant funding would not continue, that it was no longer in alignment with the federal government's priorities. We've, of course, fought back and communicated with legal counsel, which is what we've been talking about, our own legal counsel, Adam Thrasher, Gina Yarborough, and then they continue to have regular, almost weekly conversations with our Attorney General and Andrea Campbell, who has been really very steadfast about making sure that we keep our lawsuits front and center in this. And so we're one of the primary states that focuses on the NSF grant. And I am confident that as we've seen with NIH and a number of other grants, that there will be a judge that may render the decision that this particular activity of defunding NSF will have implications. And we're just going to keep our fingers crossed that the result is what we're seeing in some of the result with NIH. As you recognize, this work takes some time, and so there's a great lag time between when the lawsuits begin, how they work their way through the courts. But the most important thing is that whenever possible, that we fight back about really important funding for the institution to improve its academic programs that have been taken away from us. And that's one thing for us to consider. We also know that all of our TRIO-funded grants that are at the college are part of what we would identify as DOGE's efforts to really reduce the federal budget. We all have our opinions about what that means, but TRIO is some of the best federal money ever spent, in my estimation, in terms of increasing college-going rates and creating success opportunities for students who are in college that are first generation or students of disabilities. And of course, many of you realize that a number of our programs, Gear Up, Startup, et cetera, along with Upward Bound, are all embedded within Lowell High School, and that the college-going rates at Lowell High School are critical, and it is really the work that's done by our TRIO programs and the entire staff there that's really remarkable. So we have notification that our two TRIO programs that are on campus are The funding is up on the end of August, and we are waiting to hear if they will be refunded, but by all indications, that may not necessarily be the case. So we have actively worked, HR and the PLC have sent out a survey to all of our federally funded grant personnel that are working at the college full-time, and recently just asked a survey of what areas of the college would they be interested in serving in, what potential areas or layers of work that they'd be like to be involved in the future, and an updated resume, so that we've been very proactive to really take care of our federally funded employees who do a tremendous amount of work here at the college. That doesn't mean that all of those people will immediately be out of a job. This is going to be one of those federal pieces that we're going to have to watch very carefully. But as we made a commitment before the new federal administration came in, that this all of the work that is done by these folks is incredibly valuable, and that the talents and skills of these employees are really important to the institution as we grow and prosper. And so we're going to make sure that all of those folks land somewhere at the institution that will best serve them and best serve the institution. The last piece I would like to mention is we dodged a little bit of a bullet in the Senate bill that was, of course, the president's, I think it's the big, beautiful bill, BBB, where there was some discussion about an area that was going to be very detrimental to community colleges, and that was how many credits a student would have to take to be able to access federal financial aid. And they were going to move that from 12 credits to 15 credits for full-time, and from 6 credits for part-time to 7.5 credits for part-time, so half of the 15 credits. That has now been removed from the bill after great advocacy, both on the part of ACCT, AACC, and a number of organizations, plus everything we've done here at the institution and that our allies have done working with what's happening in Congress. So really, really pleased that we will see whether or not that stands true. That would have a devastating effect on the institution. And so watching the credit maximums in terms of eligibility for Pell. Pell will still be decreased slightly by what DOGE expects to happen. But we know that with Free Community College, we've been having conversations at the state level to make sure that we can, to some degree, initially offset those small decreases that we are going to see. So that's where we are on the federal policy issue. And I want to thank Gina Yarbrough and Adam Thrasher for their continuing good work with us. The lines of communication are open to legal and to the Attorney General's office, and we're very grateful from the support that we are receiving from the governor and her administration as things arise. State budget is in good shape as we know it. We already know, and you'll see that Allie will speak a little bit about today about our FY26 budget. Our state appropriation is strong. Our enrollment is strong. What we really talked about at a recent presidential retreat was some really long-term issues that have to do with the state budget. And that, of course, has to do with Free Community College and making sure that this is a promise program that continues for years to come into the future. We also talked a little bit about the state code of conduct and some recent changes we have a statewide state code of conduct for students that we want to defer those changes to fall 2026. And you'll be hearing and having some very healthy conversations, probably a fall critical conversation about the changes to the student code of conduct that really helps all of our faculty and staff, both folks inside and outside of the classroom, make sure that we have the appropriate behavior for all of our students as they enter into the community and become part of our community. What we talked a lot about also at the president's level was that there are state agencies that have had a hiring freeze. That includes the Department of Higher Ed. And so they are looking for waivers to hire some additional people that would be helpful to us going forward. They talked a little bit about the 4 key priorities about affordability, success, economic mobility, and public good, and that we're going to be talking more about those priorities, and that those things, along with what's going on at the federal level, will require us to make some adjustments to our own strategic plan. I do see the fact that there's a lot of discussion about how we use the MAFSA along with the FAFSA to be able to make sure that our students of all eligibility categories can complete a financial aid form, and that we really have to continue to think about 3 years out what credit and non-credit looks like, with the potential at the federal government of approving Pell for non-credit areas of training. We've been calling this Workforce Pell. It's been a priority for us at the state level, at the federal level as well, to advocate for that possibility so that when we say free community college, it's not just for folks that are in credit programs, but also folks who are accessing training that Judy's going to talk a little bit more about today. And then we hope that as part of this big, beautiful bill, that the one good thing that could come from it is Workforce Pell and an opportunity for us to expand free community college. The last priority I'd tell you about is we're a second wave of a population of states that are involved with the Federal Reserve to take a look at what we call the IPEDS data, which is very much focused on four-year institutions. As you well know, a lot of the data reporting is really about four-year institutions, not necessarily the nature of community colleges or the students that we serve. And so this is going to be an activity where we're going to be engaged. And I want to thank Provost Rodriguez and the work from the folks in IR. They're going to be engaged with all of us to do a better job of reporting out exactly some key elements of student success that happen in community colleges that may be a better indicator than the IPEDS. So stay tuned. Got good news on the budget front and good news on the enrollment front, and Arlene will follow up with that. The MCC Board of Trustees is in a point of transition. We have 5 new trustees that will be joining us. They will come to a retreat for the first time. It's actually the first time the Board of Trustees has had a retreat, a full-day retreat in quite a while. That will be next Tuesday. We are bringing in a facilitator from the Association of Community College Trustees, a national organization that looks at best practices, who will be working with our Board of Trustees both to remind us about the key elements of the roles and responsibilities in working with the president and working with the goals of the institution, but most importantly, to onboard our new trustees. We've had a new elected alumni trustee and several other news, and we'll be sending information out with bios about all of those as those transition happens. But this will be the last meeting of our Board of Trustees. They will be taking July and August and part of September off, and will be back with us at the end of September. But we're really excited about onboarding some new, very talented community members to add to the already outstanding group of people who support the college and support me every day. I did allude to earlier the fact that the Strategic Leadership Council will be working through the summer. We have a celebration lunch that's coming up very soon, and we're going to be spending some time working with Maria Gariepi, who is going to be looking at our strategic priorities and working with our marketing and communications folks to make sure that we can document the work of our strategic plan over the last 2.5 years, now that we're at a halfway point, and also to look forward with some of the environmental scan that I've mentioned, that we have to address some changes based on what's happening at the federal government and what's happening at the state government. So this summer, we will be sharing and preparing for an opportunity to share with you in the fall some changes to our strategic plan as we look at things that we need to keep that are really important for the priorities of the institution and how we have to make adjustments and changes based on what we know are happening both at the state and federal level. I want to remind you to make sure that you keep on your agenda the summer barbecue. That is really an opportunity for all of us to gather and socialize. That's Tuesday, August 5th from 12 to 2 and back in Bedford this year. And excited to see all of you and make sure you have that on your calendar. I also want to thank you for those folks who have been responding to 360s, not only my own 360 evaluation, but also the provost and Maria Gariepi, the Executive Director of Strategic Priorities and Professional Development. All of that information is very helpful. Over the next week, I will be working with each of my senior staff to complete their NUP evaluations, and those 360s are an incredibly important part of that. But I also want you to know the 360 that you do on the president each year goes directly to the Board of Trustees, and it's reviewed and part of what is sent to the commissioner to review my performance here at the institution. So I really appreciate those of you who take the time and appreciate the candor and your concerns. I also want to thank you for really responding to the employee experience survey that went out from HR. We will be developing at the PLC an opportunity to really look at how we can continually work to improve the employee experience here at the college to be able to retain folks for as long as we possibly can that people would like to serve. Next slide. Maria Gariepi is on vacation this week, so I just want to tell you about a couple of things that are happening in her area. The area is now called Strategic Priorities and Professional Development. As I noted, that she will be working with SLC on some summer revamping and compiling the successes of the strategic plan. She also has hired a new staff assistant that will begin mid-July as part of an opportunity to support her and the work that's done out of that office, and that we will have a new director of professional development, and that we are in the final stages of the individual that will replace Peter Shea, as Peter Shea has now moved into artificial intelligence integration across the institution. Also want to make sure that you have on your calendars Professional Development Day for the fall, Friday, October 24th, 2025. Really excited to begin a lot of conversation around community vibrancy and a new framework that's come out of Achieving the Dream that will help us continue with the excellent equity work that's been done here at the institution in a way that will respond to our communities and the opportunity to really talk more pointedly about economic mobility for all of our students. That's it for me. Thank you. Allie.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am up next, and I just wanted to, finalize some of the budgetary things that we've been talking about since January. So our budget did get approved in April for fiscal 26. So just to kind of high level walk you through the process, we started in January working with enrollment and IR and looking at trends and patterns. We determined fiscal 26 to start at 148,000 credit hours. That's really close to where we were back in 2018. We started this prior to, collecting credits for the summer and next year. And I can tell you the enrollment reports are really, really promising already. Summer has far surpassed our goals. So I expect that we will likely revise this budget. We usually do that in the middle of the year. And that's, so long as this growth continues into the fall. And just kind of based on what Phil was alluding to, it's really contingent on the higher education landscape and kind of some of the executive orders coming down to us. But as of right now, it's a really, really positive budget. Once we establish those credits, my team created what I lovingly refer to as the baseline budgets. And that is what our team, knowing the bare minimum, what we create at your baseline, what we think you'll need for fiscal 26, that amounted to 85.3 million in operating expenses. Once we send you the baseline budgets, the community budgeting work starts, and we ask you to say, please let us know what else you need, what else was missed, if there's more people, if it's more G&A costs. And you have about a month to kind of review your budget and make those changes, request meetings. When I received everybody's budgeting packets back, that number where it started at 85.3 million was bumped up to 88.5 million. So that's $3.2 million of additional requests. Much to our pleasure, we have budgeted for every single budgetary request that came our way. That includes positions. There's always that little asterisk before you post a position, touch base with your PLC member. There were some positions that we just wanted to do a little bit more homework on, but in any case, all requests were fully budgeted for in fiscal 26. So that's really positive. Today is actually the day that my team was going to start to load the budget for next year. And that'll be all the general and administrative expenses. People costs will be loaded in mid-July. There is a COLA increase that's expected the second week of July. So once those costs are loaded, we will roll forward the people costs for fiscal 26. So if you just have to be a little bit more patient with those numbers loading. And lastly, like I say all the time, we're always here to work with you. We were pleased to be able to satisfy everybody's requests. We fully understand that things come up during the year that were not anticipated costs. We always just ask that you work within the means of your budget, especially at the beginning of the year, and just keep the conversation open. We will help you get through the year with your budgets, regardless. But always work within your budget before you make additional requests. So that's kind of just my high level summary. And it's really positive news. I'm glad to be sharing that with you today.
Thanks, Sally.
Sure.
Judy.
Hi, yes, hi, everybody. Thank you. Thanks, Phil. First, I want to talk about community education and training. The fall 2025 non-credit catalog is in process and should be due out in July. Just want to remind everybody that there are waivers available for employees here. So, take a special look at the non-credit catalog and see what you think. Just want to mention about, we're calling it ETF Light, Education and Training Fund Light. It's money that was a surplus from work that was done at the nursing and at the state level, and the Mass Association of Community Colleges, Nate McKinnon, has helped to broker a deal with the legislature so that every community college gets a pocket of money, a good sized chunk of money, actually, $450,000 has access to. And the money needs to go to health-related programs, SOAS or nursing assistant, pharm tech, phlebotomy, local anesthesia, medical office administration, all that are listed there. All of the classes have to stop by September 20th in order to qualify for free training. If you have any questions on that, please talk to Audrey Nahabedian, Caitlin, Ellen, any of the community education team. Next is about CNA, and you can see some of the changes that are happening, but Caitlin Campopiano is working really hard on campus to represent CNA and HHA, and doing a great job with that. And there are big changes where they're coupling CNA with home health aid. We've already been doing that at Middlesex, and but there are changes that have to be made to the curriculum. So some of those are listed there for you to take a look at. If you have any questions on CNA, talk to Caitlin. And then College for Kids, any questions on that? Ellen Wright has got a great program ready for the summer, beginning July 7th, and it runs through August 7th. She's been going out to different resource fairs and working with different middle schools to make sure that the word is out. But camps like aviation, cartooning, Dungeons and Dragons, all that are listed there and more, very academically oriented summer camps are going to be on campus. So be on the lookout for our little campers, ages 7 to 17. Okay, next slide. Next slide is institutional advancement. Just quickly, everyone who supported the Celebrity Forum 2025 last week, the Beach Boys, I think I got this cold from dancing and yelling too much, but anyway, it was a great night, Beach Boys with John Stamos. And I just want to thank the college advancement staff and the folks around campus that helped us, including marketing and facilities, and the finance team, all do a great job of supporting us with that. And we had about 150 donors on the floor, and the auditorium was sold out. So TJX has come back as our presenting sponsor, and a number of companies and employers in the Lowell and Bedford areas helped supported the night. So it was a great night. Scholarship Cycle, Barbara Maglio taking the lead on this. Just so you know, it's obviously a lot of work. Thank you to those of you that were part of the review process. We targeted students that are not eligible for Mass Educate or Mass Reconnect, and we still had a very large number of applicants, which was great. The awards are now being vetted by Student Accounts and Financial Aid, and our scholarship presentation will happen in November. We're working with JMB Consulting, Janet Nolan, you might know that name, on a feasibility study that's going to be supporting health and biotech areas. That study's due by the end of the fiscal year, and that'll be a roadmap for us to move forward beginning in the fall to raise money for those areas. The Alumni Association has really had a lot going on, and one of the biggest things is we had to come up with a process. Barbara Maglio took the lead on that to choose the alumni trustee, and this is the first year that we've really had we had the need for an alumni trustee, and we had the Alumni Association ready to go to vote. So Barbara did a great job of putting together a process along with Sherry McCormick and Joshua Moreau, who's on our Alumni Association board now, was voted on and chosen. So he'll start his term for the new fiscal year. And as Phil said, he'll be part of the retreat in June. And then first time this year, the Alumni Association hosted a grad party to celebrate the class of 2025. Happened in the cafeteria at Cowan Center. It was a great night, really a lot of fun. Where I think this will be an annual event. So if anybody is around and can come to the grad party class of 2026, I think you'll really have a good time. You get a chance to see our grads up close and personal in a party atmosphere. It was a great night. Next slide. Corporate education training, a lot going on there. Mass Life Sciences has really been generous with us on PathMaker, the robotics program, and the workforce capital grants. The final FY25 cohort is going to graduate tomorrow. So big day for them, 10 students. 15 of the program completers from the fall and the spring have been employed by Insulet, which is the company that we're working with out of Acton, who help support diabetics with pods. So anyway, it's a great mission-driven company. They had an announcement last Friday, the governor's office at JVS Systems in Boston. Middlesex was a recipient of $1,012,000. So I'm sorry, $1,120,000 between FY25 and FY26. So great work there on behalf of Lisa Tuzolo, Katie Gentili. And we received our PathMaker plaque, which you'll see in the next slide. We'll go back to that. We also received $720,000 for capital from the Mass Life Sciences capital grant to purchase equipment. That room is being built in Henderson Hall. It's becoming the bane of Katie Gentili's existence. And it's going to be quite a thing when it's done. We're working really closely with the folks in engineering and STEM, and along with the non-credit robotics program, there's a credit version being developed. So all good stuff. 500,000 of that 750 has been received, and the equipment is complete, thanks to Christina Kelly and the team of purchasing. And the room build out should be completed by June 30th. So we'll be having some kind of a ribbon cutting at some point, or by June 30th, we'll be ready for IT. It'll be done by the fall. Workforce Training Fund Program, those of you who've been around for a while, you've heard this. We're working with Monogram Foods, Avid, Analog Devices, Boston Centerless, Integris, and Haas Corporation. And then contract training, we're working with a new company, Locus Robotics and Encompass. Locus around conflict management, and Encompass around the principles of developmental disabilities. And then we have a grant into the Northeast Advanced Manufacturing Consortium for electronics technician training that, if funded, will run in the spring of 2026. And then Holistic English, that is run through Corporate Ed with Katie and Lisa. 70 PAC program completers. They paid to take Holistic 2, 3, and 4 with Charles Zhang. So that program is alive and well and going swimmingly. Next grant, next. Oh, this is the picture from the Mass Life Sciences. Next chart. And then this is just an update of the Adult Learning Center and links. So Kathy and Karen, you can read through the list of outcomes, but needless to say, they're incredibly busy and doing great work. In the links program, 70 of our students were supported this year. 9 of the program alums graduated from MCC last month, which is a big deal. One of our former students received the Massachusetts Coalition of Adult Educators Student Awards. So great job there. And you can imagine funding is a source of stress. They're looking at 20%, a 20% cut, but Allie and her team are working with us. So we remain a very strong program on the Southern Tier. And as far as the ALC goes, enrollment's very strong, 110 students per semester. They continue to be a really tremendous source of support for DESE. So I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. Pramod.
Good afternoon, everyone. So just want to talk about some of the project that IT is working on. So eCampus, you might have heard about it in the newscaster and the email that Arlene sent. We are implementing this new application called eCampus to replace our Follett online bookstore. We are hoping that it will be completed by end of this month. Next one is CourseDog, that would be replacing our R25 Live application we've been using for many years, but this one would have more features and flexibility. So we are working with other departments, Kayla's department and facilities to make sure before we go live, it's working the way it's supposed to. Next one is we are working on a new application to reset our password. The current one is very like old one, homegrown. It doesn't have much options. So this new application would have many options, including multi-factor authentication, and should be able to use it from anywhere, including a mobile app. So you should be able to reset the password from your phone, no matter where you are. So it would be pretty cool. Angela, next slide, please. Windows 11 upgrade, it's still going on. We are more than halfway, and our goal is to complete it by end of August. So semester starts with our new operating system without any issues. Again, with Windows 11 upgrade, if you haven't scheduled your laptops with the service desk, I recommend please reach out to them so they can schedule you to upgrade your device. I mean, whenever the time works for you. That also will include our newer version of Office 2019 that will have more features, including the AI functionality as well. We are upgrading the technology in the classrooms, so like projectors, screens, replacing cable, so it will be able to produce a better quality, high resolution picture on the screen. So we have done about 8 rooms already, but it's gonna be a long project, so we will keep doing it all through the FY26. And the last one is we will also be upgrading the hardware. This is especially for the VDI. The device that we are using is over 8 years old, and we will be purchasing a new one with some extra feature that will also be able to support multi display and all that stuff. So extra monitors and stuff. And we have already upgraded most of our monitors. I don't know if you remember those square monitors. We have upgraded them to the latest screens with 16:9 screen resolution. And I think that's it.
Before we jump away here from Pramod's in the middle of a conference. So I really would like to ask if there's any questions you may have of him before he leaves us. The time would be now. So if you want to list them in the chat, or Jill's got a question for you, Pramod.
Okay.
Hi, can you say a little bit more about CourseDog? Will it be something that we use when we reserve a room, or will it be something that has to do with building the semester class schedule?
Yeah, so first phase would be to, we're gonna focus on the classroom. So make sure that the schedule is up to date with the timing and classes. And the second phase would be event scheduling and all that stuff, all through the campuses.
Yeah, Jill, the functionality for Course Dog is pretty remarkable, and we won't be able to implement all of it all at the same time. So it will come in stages, but lots of exciting stuff to show you about what it can do.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Pramod before he leaves us? Just boldly raise your hand. You see anybody, Beth? Okay, well, if anybody has any questions for Pramod after this, we'll be making up answers. Pramod, go back to your conference. Thank you.
No, I mean, anybody can reach out to me as well. So thank you.
Okay, absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you,
Yeah.
Pramod. Okay, Mary. Did we lose Mary?
That would help. Good
Yeah, Mike was
afternoon.
muted.
Yes, good
Oh, there you go.
afternoon,
Okay.
everyone. I have a few updates to share. The first is about our evaluations. Our evaluation process is underway for both our non-unit professionals and our MCCC professional staff. So this ask is to please submit all completed forms to HR so we can record completion and retain the evaluations in our employees' personnel file. Much appreciation to all AFSCME employees and supervisors for the on-time completion of the AFSCME reviews. So let's keep up the good work with the NUP evaluations and the MCCC professional staff evaluations, which are all due by June 30th. Next slide, please. As Allison shared, a new fiscal year with a new budget is fast approaching. And what better time to introduce our new Assistant Director of Payroll Operations, David Warsler. David joins the college with a wealth of experience, having previously served as the payroll manager at Liberty Mutual for years. We're so excited to have him join our team. You'll see a new face, a new name to support our payroll operations and process our renewal requests, which that's why I've included our part-time wage schedule, but you'll see updated new rates that take effect July 1st, 2025. So if there's any questions, we've had some transition within our HR team, as I've shared previously in the April-May timeframe, but exciting changes on our team, but we're all here to support the needs of the college. So it's an exciting time. Next slide, please. This is just a summary of the hiring activity over the last fiscal year. In total, 151 positions have been posted. As the table shows, there's 14 AFSCME unit positions, 10 MCCC faculty roles, 11 MCCC professional staff positions, and 11 non-unit professional positions have been filled at this time. Additionally, we have 18 part-time non-unit positions, 9 part-time MCCC professional staff positions, and 26 adjunct faculty roles that have been filled, with the additional searches still in progress in the upcoming fiscal year. Next slide. And then finally, a big thank you to all for taking time to participate in our employee experience survey. The overall response rate for participation was great, which means your voice and voices are well represented in the survey feedback. As you can see from the breakdown on the employment classification in the table that's displayed here, some highlights include a 52% response rate from our full-time MCCC professional staff, a 39% response rate from our part-time MCCC professional staff, a 63% response rate from our non-unit professionals, and a 38% response rate from our full-time faculty. Just to provide a bird's eye view of the key themes from the survey at this time, employees feel a strong connection to MCC's mission and are proud supporting our students. Employees feel well equipped and supported to do their jobs. And there is a call for open communication and feedback around decisions and changes, as well as a desire for recognition and clear paths for growth. As we dive deeper into the survey results this summer, we'll have more to share as plans are developed for next steps, as Phil had previously shared at the beginning of this conversation. In closing, I hope you're all able to step away this summer, take time to rest, recharge, spend time with friends and family. It's all well deserved. We've really had a busy year, and again, appreciate everybody's participation in our asks for survey feedback and our ask to complete our evaluations on time. So we know the lift is heavy, but we really appreciate everybody's contributions.
Thanks, Mary.
Yep.
Good afternoon, folks. Kicking over to me on the administration side. First of all, before we get started, I just wanted to throw out a thank you for shout out for a couple of weeks back for our commencement activities for this year. We had a record number of volunteers. We said it was like 101 Dalmatians. We had 101 volunteers that signed up to help us with different components of commencement. And then to make things exciting this year, we added a rainstorm in that required a location change for us to do the procession. But because of the team that's in place that starts meeting in January, we were able to kind of pivot within a 48-hour notice. And I want to thank everybody that stepped in to help keep that as seamless as possible. And for the folks who have to suffer through those weekly Monday meetings, take the next 6 months off. I'll see you back in January. We can kick it up for commencement 2026. Moving on to some of the what's coming up for the summer here. Apparently, for the second year in a row, we've decided on the project side of the house that we don't like quiet summers around here. Last summer we had 41 projects. This year, right now, we're currently at 25 for the summer. And I want to give a huge shout out to our facilities folks who, as well as helping at commencement and Celebrity Forum like they did, are really stepping up to help us keep a lot of these projects on track with some of our outside contractors. So we try to use these summer months as best as possible when there's a reduced amount of personnel on campus to get some of the really disruptive projects done. But flagging it well in advance that because of the size and magnitude of some of these projects, which have been long overdue, we're going to have some trickle into the new semester, which we're going to see on a couple of projects, especially here in Lowell. Last year, Bedford felt like it was upside down with a good number of projects at once. This summer, we're going to return the favor to Lowell. But I wanted to just give some shout outs to the folks in, like Judy had referenced, with Katie Gentili on her side of the house, but also Chris Algara, and the folks who've been helping us get those robotics labs across the threshold down on the first floor of Henderson. The work is proceeding as planned. We still are looking at a completion by the end of this month, at the beginning of January, to get those labs up and running with some equipment moved over from the plastic bubbles we have over in North Academic. So fingers crossed we'll be on track for the beginning of July, and we can spend the rest of the summer queuing things up for the fall launch on that one. Angela, next slide. And then God bless Marie Toupé and all of her folks up on the third floor of Henderson who've been working with us on the bio labs and the creation of the new labs also, which is on track. It's one of the most technical projects I've been involved with, but I got to give credit to the folks who are sitting through these weekly meetings to go over so many of the logistical details to keep this thing on track. They are still making daily progress, and I know that folks that have been down in Bedford have seen it, but the third floor walls are completed now. They're going to be working on some the second floor plastering and the ceiling installations in the coming weeks. So we're trying to keep that one on track as well for the new bio labs on the STEM side of the house. Next slide, Angela. Okay, so down here in Lowell, we are in the throes of we waited until after commencement to begin this work. But we are in the process of overhauling the whole left side of the ground floor of the Cowan Center. It's going to be a new student center moving forward. But in order for that to happen, there's a bunch of other dominoes that had to fall. So the public safety office has moved to the leftmost door as soon as you step into the Cowan lobby, if you haven't seen it yet. And then the picture there on the left is the newly built food pantry, which is moving in there. If it didn't move in today, it's moving in there in the next 24 to 48 hours from its current home. The slide you see on the right is the back of what was the old public safety office. Where that TV is mounted, that entire wall is coming down. If you kick it to the next slide, Angela. And all of those spaces are being blown out to make it a triple-sized student center that'll occupy the entire bottom left half of the Cowan Center. So folks that are usually in those digs have been temporarily relocated to the 4th floor. We're hoping to get them back in there in a few weeks from now, but we're going to see a much broader, wider, open student center that I know the folks from Student Engagement have chomping at the bit to get some new programs loaded in there. But thank you to the folks who have, like I said, temporarily moved up into some open air on the 4th floor. And we'll be blending this into the Asian Center, which is at the leftmost corner of that, the bottom floor. Next slide, Angela. For anybody who's planning on coming our way in Bedford, we just did it was a 2-week project to put a brand new floor into the campus center and the cafeteria for the first time in decades. So a lot of the broken tiles and such have come up. I got to tell you, we have nothing but strong, favorable reviews to give the company that did this, because for the 2-week project, they got it done in 5 days. They showed up at 6 a.m. each morning and they work like gangbusters to get the floor in place. So try not to scuff anybody that scuffs the floor up. We'll be sending you HR's way, but try to keep the floor as clean as we possibly can. We're really proud of that space, and there's a few other more cosmetic changes going to be coming along to help with that, the cafeteria area as well. And Angela, have you got one? No, one more. Okay, so there's no slide for this one. And that's because this is the one that we'll have an update actually tomorrow afternoon on this one. It's going to be a whopper of a project here at the Cowan Center. It's going to, our intended start date is July 7th, but we are waiting on, just because of the way some of the contracts and the bidding process go, we are going to be doing, putting on a new roof here on the Cowan Center so we can get rid of some of those buckets that have been collecting rainwater for us for God only knows how long. It's the first new roof the building has had since the building was built in 1985. So there's going to be some dramatic upheaval to our parking lot commencing this summer. As much as we try to apply pressure to get this, as much of it done as we could before the end of summer, it's still going to bleed into the semester and the beginning of the semester and beyond. So what that means is that when folks, at some point in July and August, there's going to be a chain link fence installed around our entire Cowan front parking lot, which will be completely shut down for pedestrian access coming from the street or the canal walkways out behind us. The only pedestrian access will be coming up through the ramp that leads into the front of Cowan. But there will be no parking in the front lot for several months while the cranes and demolition and construction is underway. And there will also be, much to our happiness, no more Uber and Lyft live drop-offs that will be occurring in the front lot. We're going to be relocating that to the bridge outside the over the Concord River because there's just not going to be any. We're not even barely going to have the ability to bring our shuttle in and out of that lot. So folks, including at the beginning of the semester, are going to see a dramatic impact on the parking here at Cowan. There'll be a series of communications coming out after tomorrow once we get some fixed timelines in place from the contractors of when the fences are going up, but we will try to communicate as much as possible, and especially, most importantly, try to minimize the impact for the start of the semester and the end of the summer and the start of the semester, which we know is our busiest time on campus for foot traffic. So stand by. There'll be multiple communications coming over the next 2 months to update folks on that particular end. So thanks all for your patience. We're continuing to try to deal with some of the smaller one-offs as much as possible. I will say, if I can throw in a plug, we have approval for some part-time summer positions that we were going to be having that we usually hire college students for to help with some landscaping, painting, carpentry, and what have you. We do have multiple openings on both campuses. So if work through our HR department where the postings are listed, it's a 2-month gig if anybody wants to get their college students out of their hair for the summer and give them some honest labor. So we welcome all comers.
Thanks, Pat. Arlene, you want to bring it home for us?
All right, thank you. And Patrick, it's the first time I've heard a blessing from my deans, and I right back at you and the team, because all the work that's being done in Henderson and all the work that's being done in Cowan, it's fantastic. And as you'll see with enrollment numbers, our students are coming back to some really strong technical departments and really strong student support departments. And Patrick, I really appreciate the work that's being done in the redesigning of both areas. I really think that's going to continue to make Middlesex standing out in these areas. So the couple of topics I'm going to cover today, everyone. Enrollment. I know Allie and Phil gave an update on that. A little bit of an update. You're going to get some deep dive numbers there. A little bit on the faculty and staff searches. Many of you are participating in these, and we have a lot of positions posted. So in addition to new rooms, new space, new equipment, we're going to have some new folks here on campus starting in the fall. Back in May, I sent out save the date for several meetings in the next academic year. I'll just go over that. A little tiny update on apprenticeship degrees that we started, give you a little bit on that, and just a little note of thanks to those who came to the ATD visit. So next slide, please, Angela. Or Beth, I'm not sure, apologies. So here are our enrollments as of yesterday. And as you can see, for our head count and our credit count for summer, we are over our goals. Significantly over our goals, I would say. We're at 107% for summer in terms of the total credits, and 101% in terms of our head count. Just to give you a little bit of the year-to-year comparison, this time last year, we were above, almost 19% above where we were last year in terms of head count, and almost 28% higher this time from compared to last year in terms of credit. Always spectacular to see that. And Scott, our Dean of Enrollment Services, Scott O'Neill, mentioned that he thinks this is one of the strongest summers he's ever seen while he's been here at Middlesex. So this is absolutely fantastic. Many thanks to all of you who are encouraging students, enrolling students. There's a lot of folks who are involved to get these numbers, and we're thankful. One last number I want to point out on this page, which I think is important, is that 74% of these students are continuing. That means our students who are here for the fall and the spring are really making use and maximizing their time here to continue their studies over the summer. So I know sometimes we talk a lot about community college students being part-time. We're seeing that many students, yes, they may be part-time for fall and spring, but they're using the summer wisely and really maximizing that time so they're able to stay on track with their degree. And that's always exciting. And we have 26%, excuse me, of the students who have enrolled for the summer are new. Thanks so much. Next slide, please. So yeah, I've been in a vice president's role for over 10 years now, and I've overseen enrollment for many of those years. This is an incredible place to be for the fall semester. It is June 16th, and already we are 36% towards our goal for head count, almost 50% towards our goal for credit. Folks, that's usually, I mean, you'll see with the year-to-year comparison, that number of 50% towards credit to be there in June is pretty astounding, because that's usually a July number or an early August number that we have. And you could see the comparison to last year. We're up 28% for head count from this time last year, and up 30% in credits from this time last year. And just to a little bit of perspective, registration for both summer and fall started on April 10th. So some real, again, excellent work being done from our enrollment teams, from those of you who are advising and registering students. This is phenomenal. Yes, a lot of this is Mass Reconnect and Mass Educate, but we see that there's definitely a need and people want to come to Middlesex, and I'm thankful for those of you who are making sure that they find a spot here for us in both the summer and the fall semester. So yes, next slide, please. Thank you. So this is, some of you have asked about updates on searches. If you go to our website, you will see these positions have been posted. Many thanks to all of you who are participating in search committees. Can be very time consuming, but they are very important to make sure that we're able to fill our positions with those who are going to become a part of our Middlesex community here. A couple of these are redos, as I call them. The Director of Practical Nursing Education has been posted several times, and our Grant Writer Program Development Specialist, if anyone remembers, that was Licia Masternardi, who left in January. That is a repost as well. Many of these positions are replacements, and some of them are new, but again, very exciting to be able to have all these positions open. I will put in a plug for the FAFSA completion specialist. I found out this morning financial aid positions are very competitive, so please make sure we get the word out on all of these positions. Share it with your connections on LinkedIn and social media. And again, thank you to all those who are serving on these committees. Next slide, please. I don't believe these have been posted yet, but as Ali noted and Phil noted, these have been approved. So let's make sure we get the word out on that, and I'll connect with my folks. One of our concerns is we have a sort of limited number of people who serve on committees, so I want to make sure that we don't overburden everyone at the same time. But very excited that we're able to offer these positions as well. Again, some replacements, some new. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. Here's a new face in a position. Please cheer Eloisa de Cunha, Dean of Business, our new Dean of Business, Legal Studies, Education and Professional Studies. We've a couple of things, if you notice on that title, we've moved education back to business. Eloisa officially started on June 9th. Judy Hogan's last day with us was June 6th, and her official retirement will be in early July. But 3 cheers to Eloisa, who's done a phenomenal job in the past 6 months. I feel she's been a dean in training and really has stepped into the role with grace, with patience, and with a lot of energy. So please congratulate her. She is officially our Dean of Business, Legal Studies, Education, and Professional Services. So thank you. Next slide, please. So I mentioned that early in May, I sent an email as a way to get us planning for the next academic year about meetings that we will be hosting, Academic and Student Affairs will be hosting. We may put more on the calendar, but right now, these are the meetings that we are planning. For May, for September 2nd, we're going to host our Convocation and Faculty Data Summit. That will be in person in the Bedford Cafe, and that will be from 2 to 4. One of the things we'd like to focus on is our math co-rec. Many thanks to Linda Darkathius, and yes, God bless Marie Toupé for all the work that they did to make sure that we had a substantial number of students who took the math co-rec in the 24-25 academic year. We have looked at early data, and I gotta tell you, it is astounding. Students who took the co-rec model passed the co-rec model at almost the same rate as those who took the standalone math sections, meaning just the stats and just the calculus. Those who took the co-rec model were able to pass almost at the same rate. And I say almost because there might be a percentage point or 2 off, but nothing that really signifies that this isn't successful. This is extremely successful model. So we'll talk some more about that and share that information with folks. But in the meantime, I want to again thank Linda, thank Marie, and all those who registered students for that model. We know that if students complete college level math and English in their first year, they are most likely, that is the most likely group to complete their degree. And in some cases, you'll see in the literature, it can be as up to 80% more will more likely complete their degree. And that has a domino effect for everyone, so that completing math and English in their first year, students are going to be ready for certain majors earlier. So it's a very exciting opportunity, some really great data that we will share. We'll also have conversations, as Phil has noted, on the Student Code of Conduct and the revisions being done there. Leonard will lead conversations around that throughout the fall semester, making sure that we get feedback from everyone. The other thing we'll also discuss is getting students to take math. One of the issues we have, very successful co-rec model, but we're also seeing that students are not taking math periods. So things that we will be discussing at these and other meetings in the semester. As you could see, the program chairs and committee meetings are listed there. The one for the fall is September 30th in Lowell, and the one for our kickoff in spring will be January 22nd in the Bedford campus. Next slide, please. I am bringing back ASAC. Some of you may remember that ASAC met to discuss, this is the ASAC is the Academic and Student Affairs Council. This is chairs, directors, and above, if I'm not mistaken, those who in academic and student affairs to meet together, again, to have conversations around some of those important and pressing issues around co-rec math, around our student code of conduct, and any other issues that we need to discuss. And that'll be October 9th, 2 to 4. We are trying to plan one for the spring as well. Trying very hard to get on the calendar early so we can make sure we can attend these meetings. Staff Data Summit. So if the faculty are having their data summit back with convocation, staff, you're coming in November 4th, and that'll be in the Lowell campus, Lower Cafe. We had a very good response last year around our staff's data summits, and I hope we can continue that energy. We will be looking at the RISE 15 metrics, but also, as I said, co-rec math and other issues that we will be discussing. Linda, I'm hoping Linda will have a chance to present on the data on co-rec math, and again, other data around the RISE 15 metrics. We also talked with IR team, making sure follow-up conversations and actionable recommendations are created from these meetings so that we can continue to move the needle on student success here at Middlesex Community College. Next slide, please. Just a couple of things, a little update on apprenticeship degree you may be hearing. We plan to start our dental assisting apprenticeship degree in fall of 26. That gives us a year to really engage with employers and find both local employers in Lowell, but also outside of the Lowell area. That has been our plan, and we're very excited that we're on the right track for that. And many thanks to the OSL team led by Dean Freeman and Dean Townsend and Professor Mary Jenny on the work that they've been doing with this. Very proud to say that we have kicked off this summer the Paraprofessional to Teacher Education program, and had a wonderful orientation meeting with some fantastic paraprofessionals from local school districts who are very excited and eager to start moving into teacher education programs. And again, I want to thank Eloisa, Jenny Freeman, Michelle Dobrin, and the OSL team, especially Lily Good and Sarah Tuberty, because it's just phenomenal work that's being done to be able to move these individuals who have been working with our students in the public school system and move them to a teacher education program so they can really work on getting their own classroom. They're ready. And so we want to make sure that we move them through so they get the appropriate credentials for that. Next slide, please. So I'm very thankful to all of you who came and met with Renee Garcia, one of our ATD coaches. He was very thrilled with the visit and always is. He has shared with me that since having a new granddaughter, he's kind of, stepping back a little from coaching work. One of the reasons he picked Middlesex early on, this is his 4th year with us, was that his son lived in Boston. Well, his son no longer lives in Boston, but he still comes back because, as he puts it, the energy here at Middlesex Community College is infectious, and he loves the fact, as he puts it, I really like you guys, and you guys do incredible work. So thank you all those who came and spoke with him. He's provided us some great guidelines and some great national examples around schools that have done some of the work that we've done. And one of the things we've been talking about since we joined ATD is becoming a leader college. ATD has several designations within the organization for different colleges. The leader college, what makes it important? It's meeting certain metrics. And I'll talk to those about those in a second. But do we want to go through this and fill out a very long application? It makes us eligible for certain grants and programs that are led by Achieving the Dream. And we are working with Achieving the Dream through Maria Gariepi on the community vibrancy framework. And I think these are wonderful opportunities for us to continue to be engaged and be open to these opportunities. So there are 3 metrics to become a leader college that you have to show some movement on. And it looks like we're still in the planning stage here. It looks like, and this is a kudos to everybody at Middlesex, where we might be able to be eligible is on the 4-year improvement in the IPEDS fall to fall retention rate of at least 3 percentage points, first-time, full-time students. And Middlesex, between 2021 and 2020 and 2021, 23 and 24, our point increase is 3.6. So very excited that this is Renee and both Renee and Ryan from our IR office felt this is an opportunity for us to start applying for Leader College. Again, making us eligible for other programs and grants towards student success and student completion. So thank you to all those who visited with Renee, and thank you to all those who make this number possible. And thank you to IR, that knows that I'm going to be asking for these numbers, and they're as excited as we are. We are very pleased that we're moving in the right direction with fall-to-fall retention. Next slide, please. As Phil is continuing open door days, I have my chat with the provost over the summer. One of them is this week in Bedford. Actually tomorrow, excuse me, it's tomorrow in Bedford. Also July 25th in Bedford and August 21st in Lowell. If you would like to set up a 30-minute appointment, if you need more, just let Sherry know. But connect with Sherry via email and she'll make sure that you are on my calendar. And please stop by. I really appreciate those of you who have stopped by. Some of you have stopped by just to chat and see how I was doing. Some of you have brought forward some questions that you had, or just some thoughts and ideas that you wanted to share. And in some cases, we've said, yes, your idea is fantastic. Let's look at some of what we can do to expand that idea. So please feel free to come on by, sign up with Sherry. And, I know Phil mentioned the 360s. Thank you for filling out the 360s. I know they take up time and it was during a very busy part of the semester. If there's anything you want to follow up in your 360, come and talk to me. Let's have a good conversation. Thank you all for your time. Again, a meeting with Renee for your 360, and just a quick update. Our robotics proposal for a robotics associates of science degree is with the DHE, and we're waiting to hear some feedback from them, hopefully in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Arlene. So I would hope that you would know by now that after an hour of drinking from a fire hose, there's a lot that's going on. And I'm really proud of the fact that we work at an institution where if you read the paper, we are so far from what's happening in a lot of other places. The opportunity to have continued growth at the institution, where other people are laying off people, Middlesex is hiring. Where other institutions are struggling with enrollment, Middlesex is growing by leaps and bounds. Where others are leaving a lot of their facilities behind, we are making continued investment. Where others have a budget that they're very concerned about, we are in very good shape financially. Where others are concerned about attracting talent, I would tell you that if you looked at a lot of the names of the folks that are on here today, there's a lot of new folks that are hired at the institution, and many, many of them are alums that are coming back home to continue to contribute to the institution. So it's a really great time for the college. I want to entertain your question, and I do want to take 1 second, if I could, just to recognize a dynamic duo that has made, and one has made a late decision to retire. I don't know if she's here with us today, so I'm going to talk about her anyway. Camille Brown announced her retirement after we had our retirement ceremony. Lots of people do that and make that determination. So we will be saying goodbye to Camille Brown from her decades of work in the admissions office and countless numbers of open houses and other activities to really support our adult returning students. And she and her husband are sort of retiring together. Barry Brown was at the institution for over 26 years. He didn't work for Middlesex. He worked for the bookstore. And actually, it was Barry that convinced Camille to apply to the college. So they have been a dynamic duo at the institution for quite a while. Barry is also an adjunct English faculty member, loves his students, and cares very much about the college. So we wish both Barry and Camille a lot of success in their next adventure. And I think there are some local parties for them to say goodbye over the next week. But I did want to mention that these two folks have really contributed decades of work to the institution, and we wish them well in whatever comes next for them. So now we're open to any questions that you may have, and I'll turn it over to Beth to facilitate that, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you, Phil. Okay, we do have a message in chat from Sean Kenny. I think it went to everyone, but I can read through it. At a recent statewide retreat held for STEM Starter Academy, we were informed that the estimated budget for each of the 15 community colleges would be approximately $132,000 for the fiscal 25-26 year, pending legislator and governor's approval. This would be the lowest budget since SSA was implemented in 2013. At the recent retreat, there was discussion about the importance of institutionalizing positions. Could you clarify the college's position on supporting SSA and affiliated employee salaries if necessary?
Okay, thanks, Sean. Really appreciate that. And in fact, we are hearing some similar things. It's not unusual in some areas where the state has made significant commitments to STEM Starter Academy, as you know, since 2013 that you mentioned. So we're talking about over 13 years of real commitment to each institution, each community college, to raise the awareness around STEM positions and STEM opportunities for students, and to really help support those students in their work. So what will happen is, as we get a little closer, have a better understanding of what the state budget will be doing, we will also take a look at what the requirements are. And different STEM Starter Academies have different models. Some STEM Starter Academies have one full-time person. Some STEM Starter Academies have a full-time person and a part-time person like yourself that supports students. So as we look at the budget, we will have to identify exactly what we will be able to continue to support and how the goals for the STEM Starter Academy will align with the college's goals in the future. But I do appreciate you recognizing that, and we will see this sort of, as I called it, a roller coaster ride of decreased funding from the state, decreased funding from the federal government in some areas, and then at the same time, possibilities for increases in the federal government, like Workforce Pell, and increases in our appropriation and dynamics for what's happening with Free Community College. So we will at all times review all this and really have some determination about whether or not we will continue with the budget and the model that we currently have with the same amount of personnel, or whether we will make any changes based on the outcomes and the goals of the program. So good question, and thank you for that question.
All right, there's nothing else in chat. And as a reminder, Phil is happy to take your questions just by raising your emoji hand so that we can call on you and unmute your mic.
I'm surprised that we've told you there's going to be a big chain link fence around the Cowan building until mid-November and nobody has a question, right? I mean, there's some major institutional projects that are going on. And one of the reasons that we hold this is so nobody says, oh, hey, I didn't know I was losing my parking space, or what's happening around the Cowan building, right? So we want to make sure that as we talk about open transparency and communication, that it gets digested and that we can answer any question that you may have. And I'm really excited we're going to have a new roof on Cowan. It deserves one after 40 years. So.
Yes, Melinda, you will still be able to get to Dunkies.
Yes.
Valerie, your hand is raised.
I'm sure you've already reviewed this with Jamie, but how are we addressing the accessibility in terms of Cowan?
That's
for our students with disabilities.
Foremost in this project has been the disability access. As a matter of fact, the entire redesign of the front entrance to the Cowan Center was prompted by the audit that was conducted about 8 years ago of all of our buildings to make sure that the building's going to be accessible. So like I said, no matter what, throughout the entire process, even at the height of the construction, that ramp that leads into the Cowan Center will always remain open. That is not going away at any time. We're still going to maintain some parking spots out front that will allow for accommodations for that, but we're going to be down to less than a dozen spots in total, and that includes for the shuttle coming back and forth between campuses. But the rampway that comes up into the front of Cowan will be open, and that's all the contractors know that this has been the immutable law, if you will, that there's no budging on that ramp will always remain in place. We're also, Valerie, one of the things that we're talking about, and this is a longer term, and it gets into the weeds of our neighbors, but since we don't own a lot of the property that surrounds the building, we're trying to look at some ways to make accessibility off the back of the building, which comes off of those big concrete slabs on an area of the whole lower locks here that's not owned by us. But the biggest impact is going to be over towards the loading docks and the canal side, where a lot of the debris is going to be coming down off the roof into some waiting dumpsters, and the cranes will be parked doing their work, but we'll still maintain at all times access to the front door up that ramp.
Yeah, sorry if I poked the bear too much on this one, Valerie. Our students and their access, both through the shuttle and our students with disabilities, are going to be primary focuses of what we need to do to make sure that we keep the Cowan Center accessible to all.
No, you didn't poke the bear, and I have confidence that our leadership teams pay attention to that. I'm curious as to how students will be notified of all of this. Particularly, we have students who don't necessarily register with our department. So how will a general notice go out to all students about accessibility?
There is going to be a series throughout the entire summer here, Valerie, as much as possible. We're going to be doing it not just through our email communications, but we'll be doing it through our social media platforms. We'll also be using the MCC app as much as possible. From our position in terms of the contractors, we want to over communicate on this so that everybody gets as many notices in case they happen to have been traveling when one of them landed and didn't see it land in the mailbox. We're going to be blitzing as frequently as possible. And yes, we'll be using Newscaster as well, both the staff and faculty one as well as the student one. But there will be not just a single notice on this. This will be ongoing throughout. As soon as the dates are confirmed by the contractors, everything is going to be shared college-wide. We don't want to keep anything a secret so that there's no surprises for anybody.
Yeah,
Great. Thank you.
That's a great question, Valerie. And I think one of the things that I would keep everyone at the college, all faculty and staff, all of us, attuned to is the fact that this is going to be a major change for us, but it is definitely important for us to really keep this building in tip-top shape, because it is now that roof and the leaks are really impacting the HVAC system and a number of other systems at the college. And so we have no choice but to get this roof repaired. The timing is, we've been waiting a very long time to get this done. So we need to invest this money, and it is a tremendous inconvenience. I don't mean to minimize the amount of inconvenience that it is because of the amount of traffic that comes out of Cowan. But I think as we interact with students in advising, in financial aid, in admissions, and as students come forward with significant challenges that they may have, please communicate with each other. Please communicate with us, and we will be able to make sure that you have communication so that students will know how they access the building and what's the best way for them to do that. So it's a very important point, Valerie. Appreciate it.
So, Phil, there's a question on the side: will the roof work disrupt any HVAC that might be up there? Again, an answer that we'll have in the coming week or so. Any interruption to the HVAC will be temporary, and it's primarily going to be up here on the 5th floor that would be impacted by it. So there's nothing that's scheduled to impact the entire building. So for those of you who are on the who do work here in Cowan, you might have some of us coming down and squatting in the neighborhood for a day or two, because there's going to be a noise impact as well as HVAC impact up here on 5. And we'll help find any temporary digs for anybody that needs them once the dates are established, which we expect will be happening before the start of the semester. That minimal disruption would occur, but it's not going to be building wide.
Yeah, and I want to thank all of the current nomads that have been thrown out of their spaces on the ground floor, or as we work into having to move people from the 5th floor. the fourth floor has been a great opportunity for us to take a look at the use of the space, which we want to redesign, but I'm really glad that we have open space there that can really accommodate some of our needs. We're very fortunate that we can make these kind of adjustments and still try and keep the environment as comfortable for folks as we possibly can. So great question.
Another question came in from Susan Wilcox. Will students have access to updated Microsoft products?
Oh, that was a promote question, and he went back to his conference, Susan. So you're going to have to write that directly to him, and he will answer that for you. Sorry, but my guess is the answer is yes. But I just want to confirm that he can give you a better, more details about the timeline and what the area ability for any access and updated measures around that. So write directly to promote if you would. Anything else?
There is currently nothing in chat, and I do not see any emoji hands.
Well, folks, you know that we are here at your disposal. Things don't quiet down in the summer at Middlesex, although faculty are off contract. The rest of us are working hard, as all of you know, because you are part of the core of working hard during the summer. I want to thank you for your time today. As always, I hope this information has been helpful and really appreciate the time for us to be in community. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or to anyone else as part of my senior staff. And Beth, as always, thank you for facilitating this conversation.
Thank you, everyone.